All right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 29. We get the boys are back and the fan favorite, our boy Zach. He's back on the podcast because you know why? Because UFC 249 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and he's here to talk about it. Boys, it's fight week, UFC 249. Dana White pulled it off. The promo went through. I don't see anything happening this week that's not going to let this card happen. We're going to go through everything. We'll go through some of the early prelims, some of the prelims, and then we'll get into the main card with our predictions, our analysis from the three best guys in the business here. Let's just get started. UFC 249. Dana White pulled it off, boys. It's taking place this Saturday, May 9th, VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. What other place in the world during a pandemic would fights happen other than Fight Island and then other than Florida? You know what I mean?
Florida, man.
Literally, no disrespect to Florida, but I could have seen this coming from a mile away. Floridians do unreal and like the most unspeakable things, and I'm pumped that they're doing the fights this weekend. So I just want to get right into it, boys. First of all, UFC 249, absolutely stacked. We're talking early prelims to the main event. It is all these fights could be on a main card. I think 90% of these fights could headline, whether that be a fight night or a pay-per-view. We got some star power on here, so I'm super excited. So I just want to get right into it. Why don't we just start off with like the early prelims right now? We got some violence, the third fight in. We got Vicente Luque taking on Nico Price. This is a rematch. I know these guys fought a couple years back too, with Luque kind of getting the most of Nico Price. I know we talked about this one before, the whole quarantine happened. But what do you guys think about these two absolute savages? You know that both of these guys bring it every time they get into the octagon. These guys know how to win, bonuses in the UFC. What do you think is going to happen in this one? I know both of these fighters have grown over the past couple of years before their first fight. What do you two think?
Yeah, I mean, Nico Price, he's had some like the craziest finishes I think I've ever seen in the UFC. He had that up kick with what's his name? Vic? Was it Vic?
Oh, yeah,
he did that too. The up kick knockout, and then he had like that knockout from like the bottom, which I don't even know how he did that with the hammer fist. He's just different. He just fights different, and he's pretty unique. And then yeah, Luque, I mean, he's a tough guy, tough fighter. Beat up Mike Perry pretty good. Busted his nose completely. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could pick either way in this fight, to be honest. I mean, they're both tough guys. I'm thinking Nico Price, though, just because of how different he is, how different of a fighter he is, how hard he is to prepare for. But, no.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick Luque on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, Nico Price has had some crazy finishes, but I think that Luque has been a lot more consistent. What was his last loss was Thompson, right? And that's a hard fight for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a beating in that fight too, but I think he'll come back pretty strong.
Yeah, I like if you kind of take a look at these guys, Luque definitely took that like step up in competition, take it on Wonderboy, who Wonderboy's a two-time title challenger, and he learned the hard way from Wonderboy. It's not someone you overlook. Wonderboy's an absolute savage, always going to be top of the the food chain over there at welterweight. I don't know. I'm leaning towards agreeing with Kev on this one. I love Nico Price. I love the way he fights. I think he's so unpredictable, and he brings so many different ways of finishing you to the octagon like we've never seen before. Like it's Tony Ferguson-esque, you know what I mean? Like from his back, it doesn't matter. He'll hammer fist you from the bottom. Like we've never seen anything quite like that, unlike a guy like Tony, who's so unorthodox. So this one's going to be fun. Obviously when someone has a win over you, who knows, that could be in Nico's head, whatever it's going to be. This one, it's just crazy that this is like one of the fights that could be fight of the night, and it's the third fight.
The prelim.
In the early prelim on UFC Fight Pass, whatever the hell they're showing this on. So to start off the night, like that's just an absolute banger. Before that, we got Bryce Mitchell taking on Charles Rosa, which that's going to be an awesome fight too. Two kind of like up-and-comers. Bryce Mitchell, undefeated. Charles Rosa, 12-3 great records. Both these guys love to scrap. So that's before the Luque fight. So that's going to be unreal. Early prelims. And then let's just kind of squeak onto the prelims here, because this is we got a pretty impressive card here. Starting it off, we got Uriah Hall taking on Jacare Souza. Obviously, two big name guys in the middleweight division. I think this is whoever wins this one, I think that's going to be big for them. Just because middleweight, I feel like, is a lot of unanswered questions right now. I feel like that, if one of these guys steps up, especially fighting during a time where there's not a lot of other top contenders fighting, it's really going to help them. Then we got Carlos Braza taking on Michelle Watterson for a women's strawweight fight. Obviously, we all know, how good Carla is. We obviously know how much heart Michelle Watterson has. We saw that kind of in her last fight. She took a beating, but she was not going to get put away. So that's going to be a great women's fight. Then we got the big boys, Alexei Oleinik taking on Fabricio Werdum. Obviously, Werdum coming off of his suspension. I mean, Zach, I know we were talking about this before. This is just going to be grappling heaven here, right? Is that what we're expecting in this fight?
I think it's going to be one of those things where, since both dudes are so known for their grappling, one guy is just going to try and keep it standing. And I think it's going to be Werdum trying to keep it on the feet and beating them up. That's what happens every time when people are like, oh, this is going to be a crazy grappling match. It never happens. And sometimes it ends up awesome, like the last welterweight title fight between everybody's name is escaping me.
Oh, Usman and Covington?
Yeah, where you think it's going to be, they're both so strong at grappling that it ends up being a banger, or it goes the other way. So hopefully it ends up being a sick fight. I don't think it's going to go to the ground. I think Verdum's going to try and keep it standing.
Yeah, and Verdum's been out for a while, so I'm curious to see, ring rust. I know our boy Dom Cruz is fighting in the co-main event. He doesn't think ring rust exists, but we'll see with Werdum. You know what I mean? He's coming off that suspension, so we'll see what happens there. And then let's just get into it. The prelim headliner, which I can't even believe this is a prelim headliner. We have Anthony Pettis taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone 2. So this is a rematch. Back in 2013, Pettis just hit Cowboy with a vicious liver shot, taking out, Cowboy and that's kind of where, we were talking about this before, but that's kind of where Cowboy got his, he can't take body shots, right? He doesn't show up in the big fights, anything like that. I think that's kind of where it started for him. And this was back in 2013. So taking a look at these two guys, seeing the path that they've been on, obviously both of them are coming off some skids right now. Cerrone just coming off, I'd say probably the biggest fight of his career, taking on Conor McGregor and just losing in 46 seconds, really. A lot of people think he took a dive for money or whatever it was. He did an interview how pissed off he is. It's been haunting him, and he's ready to come back and avenge his loss from Anthony Pettis and take this one. And then we obviously know where Pettis is at. Got beat up by Nate Diaz and then got beat up by Carlos Diego Ferreira. So both these guys are on losing streaks. So what do you guys think about this one? Obviously it being a rematch, obviously it being years later, and then where both of these guys are at now. Who do you think has the edge in this one?
Yeah. Is this Pettis' first fight back at 155?
No. So when he took on Carlos Diego Ferreira, that was his return to lightweight.
Oh yeah. I totally forgot about that.
We went Thompson, Diaz, and then back to lightweight, and now,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems like lately with all the Cerrone fights, you see him like always in some type of trouble. The only one that I mean, it was a good fight, but the only one that I can think of is like that Iaquinta fight where he kind of looked like the old Cerrone. But every other fight that I've seen him in pretty recently, he puts himself into some type of trouble. Even if he gets the win, you can see there's some points where he's kind of losing it. But I don't know if it goes like deeper into the fight. Like I've seen Pettis kind of quit. Like Ferguson. That last fight, I forget how he gets submitted.
Yeah, Rune Joe.
Yeah, he got submitted.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Pettis on this one.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Kev. I think the past few fights that Pettis has lost, it's people just constantly putting the pressure on him,
Mhm.
And like that's what happened in his last fight against Pereira, and then I'm thinking of the Ferguson fight. I mean, even the Diaz fight. Like when people put pressure on him, he kind of like over the rounds he gets tired and he crumbles. And I don't think Cerrone has the style where he's going to be in Pettis' space to put that pressure on him. And Pettis is a nasty kicker, so I feel like if you're not crowding him, he's going to kick, and it's going to be similar to the first fight. And now it's like the first fight, but Cerrone's chin is weaker than it was. I mean, he lost with body shots last time, but
Yeah.
head kicks and stuff. So I'm going to go with Pettis on this one.
Okay. All right. I'll be the oddball out. I'm taking Cerrone, man. I think, if you just look at the resume of Cerrone, the last 3 fights, losing to Ferguson, losing to Justin Gaethje, and then losing to Conor McGregor. Those are 3 guys who, you can't look at Cerrone and be like, wow, he's done. Like, he just took on like 3 killers, back to back to back. Like, you got to respect that. He's someone that's like willing to fight. He even told, what's his name, Brett Okamoto. He was like, I told Dana White I want to fight on May 9th, and I want to fight on the 13th, and then I want to fight on the next card on that next Saturday. Like, he's still, I feel like we're going to see the resurgence again. He went through this skid too when he had lost to Masvidal. He lost to Robbie Lawler, and then he lost to Till, and then he kind of went on that run that he had, right? Beating guys like Yancy Medeiros, Mike Perry, Alexander Hernandez, and then he fought, one of his best fights of his career with Iaquinta. So I think we're going to see a more motivated Cerrone than we are motivated Pettis. But who knows? Obviously, that first fight's probably going to be lingering in his head. That body shot, he's probably going to be waiting for that body shot to happen, and that could open up the head. Who knows what's going to happen there? So I'm going to go with Cerrone just because, I love the guy, and I do think that we're going to see him more motivated. I think he wants to prove to people that Conor fight was a fluke, and that 46 seconds, that wasn't him in there. You know what I mean? He came out and said, he wasn't into it and all that stuff, which, who knows what's true and what's not true there. But, obviously that's going to be a great fight, and that's headlining the prelims. We haven't even got to the main card yet. So let's just get right to the main card here, where it's absolutely stacked. One of the more questionable fights, I think, on there, not for his opponent, but I think for, the guy we're going to talk about. Heavyweight fight to start off the main card. We have Greg Hardy taking on Yorgan De Castro. Some people are wondering, why is that fight taking precedence over Cowboy Pettis? I don't know. Greg Hardy brings a lot of eyes to the sport. Obviously, he's, a big heavyweight. He was in the NFL before this. He was on the Cowboys. He's a big name. He brings a lot of eyes. And for this to be the only sport on in the world, I think Dana White just wanted him on here to kind of start off the main card. So I think, with Greg Hardy, I think he gained a lot of respect from fans from his last fight against Alexander Volkov. He took an absolute beating, taking head kicks, body shots by Volkov, and he didn't get put away. And I think a lot of people respect him for that now. I think before that, they wanted to see him in higher competition, and he took that fight on a very short notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was in Russia. It was crazy. He went there on short notice, took on Volkov. So obviously pretty impressive. He didn't get the win there, and he's been up and down in his UFC career. He started off high. He was knocking everyone out. Then he got DQ'd, and then we had the whole situation in Boston. So, he's had his up and downs, but he's taken on young up-and-comer Yorgan De Castro, who's undefeated right now. He's taken people's souls. So this fight is just going to be back and forth. Obviously rooting for Yorgan here. I want him to stay undefeated. I think this guy is going to be a menace in the heavyweight division. But what do you two think about this fight to start off the main card here?
Yeah, with the whole coronavirus thing, people not being able to train like they normally do, I think that's going to work in Hardy's disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think it was the Boston card where he pulled out the inhaler in the middle of the fight. I think that's one thing that's going to be tough for him, is to have that conditioning. He looked pretty good in the Volkov fight, to be honest, and he took that. I don't even know. Was it a few weeks after the Boston card? It was pretty soon, right after Boston, and he went all 3 rounds, and he didn't seem to be gassed. He didn't seem to give up at all. But that would be one question that I have for Hardy in this fight. And I think striking wise they're pretty equal. They both got a ton of power. But I'm gonna go with Yorgan in this one just because he's vocal and
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah. Zach, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I've never seen Jorgen fight. I was just looking at his record, and he had that Contender Series win, and they did a knockout on the Adesanya Whitaker card. But I haven't seen him fight, so I can't say. I would say that Hardy has more experience based on like his UFC. I don't know about in terms of quality of, I mean, even quality of opponents now that he's got the Volkov fight. So I would pick him just based on that, but I haven't seen Jorgen fight. So
Yeah, I mean, either way, this is a heavyweight fight. Anything could happen. It doesn't matter if you're the better fighter. If one of these guys lands, it could go on night-night. That's just how the name of the game in the heavyweight division. So obviously that's to start off the main card. You're going to see some fireworks there. Hopefully no one's too, gun shy on this one, and they let it go. Then following that, very, very exciting featherweight fight. We have our boy, our New England Cartel leader, Calvin Kattar, Methuen, Massachusetts, taking on Jeremy Stephens. Boys, not too much to even say about this one. This one's going to be an absolute slugfest. Fight of the night, knockout of the night. I really do feel like with these two guys. Kattar, obviously, with the ridiculous boxing. We saw him in his last fight versus Zabit. A lot of people were upset because that fight got turned from a 5-rounder to a 3-rounder. People do believe that Calvin had the edge in Zabit going into that 4th and 5th round, but we didn't get to see it. Unfortunately, Zabit tends to fade towards the later rounds. His cardio is not there. A lot of people kind of speculate. So, and then Jeremy Stephens can put your lights out at any moment. We've seen it time and time again. He's been in the UFC forever. Boys, real quick, what do you think about this one? Because I'm stoked about this one.
Yeah, this definitely could be fight of the night.
No.
Both these guys are going to stand and trade. They're not looking for takedown, ground and pound, submission, anything like that. They're going to stand and trade the entire fight. But I do think Calvin has the crisper boxing. He's got power in his hands. But you can't count Stephens out either. It's not like a huge advantage that I've given to Kattar, but I'm going to go Kattar on this one.
Cool. Zachy, what do you got?
yeah, I'm going to go with Kattar too. I think that everybody that's beaten Stephens, they're able to, kind of be the matador and lead because, he doesn't really cut the cage. He follows people around, I think. And, I mean, he's got power for days. He's got some sick knockouts. But I think if Kattar can, do the same thing, I think that he can get the win. He's definitely got the skills for it. So.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be exciting. I'm curious to see, if Kattar can take that, that shot from Stephens. You know what I mean? Not too many people can from Stephens. But I'm thinking, Calvin watched that Yair fight, saw how kind of Yair did things. I think Calvin's a little bit more patient than Stephens. I think Stephens tends to just get friggin' angry, and then he's just going to start throwing bombs. But I think Kattar's boxing is so crisp and smooth. I think he's got a lot more patience, and I think we're going to see that in this fight. And I think this is what's going to take Calvin Kattar, honestly, to the next level. I really believe that. And he's going to start getting that. Obviously, this is a huge fight for him, but I think when he, if he beats Stephens here, this is only huge for him, and he's going to, crack the, the top 5 here, and I want to see him get a title shot soon. So I'd love that. So that's going to be a fun fight. Just don't miss this fight. That's the one you can't friggin' miss on here. So, and then we have this one's another one. Obviously, could main event anywhere. We got Francis Ngannou, the friggin' Predator, taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And again, not too much to say about these guys. We have Francis Ngannou with 3 straight first-round knockouts of top-tier talent. Obviously, Francis is a title challenger. He took on Stipe. People are saying he might have taken it too soon. He hasn't blossomed yet as a mixed martial artist, and he really got dominated in that fight. But he's racking off 3 straight first-round victories, KOs, Curtis Blades, Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos. It's a pretty good resume right there. You know what I mean? And he's been itching to get into a fight. He wants to get that title again. He wants to fight for the title again. And he's taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who's undefeated, knockout artist, who blew off Alistair Overeem's lip with a second left in the fight. Let's just get right into this one. We got 2 big boys going at it. Who do you guys got in this one? What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I'm going with Ngannou. I can't vote against him.
No.
He does have some weaknesses in his game. Like we saw that with the Stipe fight where he was getting taken down. He actually even got outboxed a little bit too at some points in the fight. And you saw his cardio. wasn't fully there for a 5-round fight, which I think that works in Rosenstrike's advantage because of his last win with Verdum, where he won in the later rounds. Just proves that he can go the distance and still get the knockout. But it's going to be fun. I mean, Rosenstrike, I don't know if he was like a world champion kickboxer or Muay Thai, it's something like that, but he's a world champion striker. So don't want to count him out, definitely.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think?
I think I'm going to pick Ning. I agree with Kevin, and I can't really pick against Ngannou. I mean, he's just a monster. I mean, the Stipe loss. I mean, the only thing about the Stipe loss is we haven't seen him go the distance since that loss, right? Unless you count, I think he did with Derek Lewis, but I don't. Did they do that 3-round fight? That was a terrible fight. But
that was the one. That was the one where they both were gun shy and they threw like 7 strikes the whole fight.
Yeah. I think that broke some record for like least strikes in a fight.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look at both of these guys, that's what I'm hoping this fight isn't. Is that like, are these guys going to be gun shy because they know that Ngannou will put your lights out and Rosenstrike? So I don't want to see another, Derek Lewis fight again. So I'm curious to see. A lot of people are thinking that this might be that kind of fight, but if you're Francis, man, he's smelling blood right now, and I think he sees this guy as an inferior opponent. This guy is, pretty new to the UFC. Francis has been, leaving his mark on everyone he's fighting. He's knocking everyone in their mother out. Obviously, the Stipe fight was a setback. Obviously, the Derek Lewis fight was a step, kind of a step back for him. But he just took out 2 legends, and then Curtis Blades, he was gonna fight for the title soon. That's what I'm thinking. So it really is. This one's gonna be fun. This one's going to be, you're either going to love this fight or you're going to hate this fight. That's in my opinion, that's what it's going to be. So heavyweight fights.
Ngannou's gas tank is going to determine the fight. I think, Kevin, I think you're right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Especially because, like Kevin, like you said, Rosenstrike just went 5 rounds with Overeem, man, and then knocked him out with a second left, blew his lip off his face. So I don't know if that's going to get in Francis' head, whatever, but this one's going to be fun. And still can't even believe we're not even done with the card yet. So, and then moving forward to the co-main event, we have a bantamweight title fight between Henry Cejudo, Triple C, taking on the bantamweight, possibly the bantamweight GOAT, Dominic Cruz. And I know this was questionable, so I'm actually just going to leave it up for you guys. What do you think about Cejudo fighting Cruz? Also, what do you give Cruz's chances after coming off of what is this? He fought last in 2016, lost to Cody Garbrandt. This is 4 years. 4 years. What do you guys think his chances are? And also, do you agree with the Cejudo-Cruz matchup? Because obviously it was supposed to be Aldo. That didn't happen. Do you think Cruz deserved it? Do you think it should have been someone like, Aljamain Sterling or Peter Yan? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough to come off a 4-year layoff and fight someone like Cejudo. The thing that I think works for Cruz is that his style is so unique that a lot of people have a hard time figuring it out. And even with this huge layoff, it's still going to be a big task for Cejudo to figure out how he's going to work around that. I mean, we saw Garbrandt figured it out with his boxing. Dillashaw gave him some competitive fights, but like Uriah Faber, wasn't able to figure it out. Demetrius Johnson, that they had a fight, he wasn't able to figure it out. So I think the way he moves, the way he strikes, it is still going to be a tricky thing for Cejudo. If he has a game plan in place to get the takedown or to even try and strike with him, I don't know. I see it pretty even, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good take. Zach, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's actually not a bad matchup for Cruz. I mean, the hardest thing when fighting him, I think, is trying to be able to hit him in place to hit him. So we'll see if Cejudo can do it. I definitely think that he's got the advantage in terms of grappling, and his hands have been looking pretty crisp lately, but he's got to see if he can actually get himself into a position to actually hit Cruz.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. I do think I think this fight's closer than a lot of people think. So I agree with both you guys. I didn't think you were going to say that. Obviously, I'm a huge Dom Cruz fan. I think he's a big like what if he didn't get injured, right? His whole career. I think he would have held on to the belt longer than, I think he'd be on one of those streaks like a Demetrius Johnson, like a John Jones, right? But he's been so plagued by injuries, I think a lot of people are surprised he even took this fight, you know what I mean? I know he's coming off 4 years, and to take on Henry Cejudo has been so friggin' like hot, right? Obviously they call him Triple C. He's a double champ now. I like Cruz in this one, man. I think he's going to shock a lot of people. I think behind the scenes he's been doing his work, and I think that Cody loss, I think, lit a fire underneath him, and I think he wants to come back and regain that crown. But question for you guys: Cejudo beats Dom Cruz. Is he in the GOAT conversation? Honestly, because he's beaten some pretty good guys, and this streak he'll go on. He'll beat DJ, TJ, Marlon Moraes, and now Dom Cruz if he beats him. Do you think he's in the GOAT conversation?
I don't know. The only thing with me with the whole 125-pound division, I don't think the level of competition is the same as it is at 155 or 170 or 185. I think if he has a longer reign at 135, he takes out some other big names. Maybe fights Aldo in the future or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's just not a whole lot of, in my opinion anyway. I mean, they're all good. They're all highly skilled, but I don't think it's the same to me personally, like comparing him to a John Jones.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I think, his whole shtick with the, cringe and all that stuff, like, he's great. Obviously, he's beaten some top guys, but I agree. I think to be in that conversation, you need to defend your belt multiple times, like a John Jones, like a Demetrius Johnson. I know you said with, flyweight is a little iffy, but, I mean, to defeat what DJ did, you know what I mean, going on like a Tony Ferguson-like win streak, but doing that with title defenses, that's impressive. But I agree. I think we're going to be hearing it a lot if he does win. Oh, Henry's, one of the greatest of all time now. He just beat another legend. So I'm just excited for this one because this is like the biggest what if on the card. I really do feel like, because it's like, what Cruz are we going to see? But it's also like, what kind of Henry Cejudo are we going to see? All wrestling? Are we going to see him? I think the footwork of Dom Cruz is going to be the biggest thing here. Can he turn back the clock here and be the Dom Cruz of years ago? And let's see what he can do. So I'm excited for this one. Honestly, my final prediction here, Cruz doesn't finish a lot of people, so I'm going Dom Cruz. I'm going to go split decision, and then I think we're going to see a rematch because I think this is going to be a classic, but I think Cruz is going to – I think he's going to edge this one out and surprise a lot of people. So what do you guys got? Final predictions for this one?
Final prediction. I think I'm going to go Cejudo. I think he's going to time when Cruz is jumping in, and I think he's just going to hit him with takedowns, takedown after takedown.
Okay.
Cruz doesn't have a whole lot of power in his hands, so, like, I don't see him finishing him on that end. I don't see Cruz trying to take Cejudo down at all. But I think Henry does have the power to kind of take him down at will, and I think if he times when he's hopping in to go for that takedown, I think he's going to be pretty successful.
Is it going to be a good fight, or do you think it's going to be kind of boring, like same thing, like Henry's just going to continue to take Dom down at will? Like, what do you think at least?
I don't think it's going to be boring in the sense where, like, they're not engaging.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both going to be trying to win the fight the entire time. If Cruz gets put on his back, could use some of his jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And they both got great cardio, so I don't think it's going to be slow. I think it's going to be a pretty high-paced fight, but I think there will be a lot of takedowns throughout.
Cool. Zach, final prediction. Cejudo, Cruz, who you got?
I mean, I'm going to pick Cejudo just because he's been active. I think it's a tall order to have somebody come back for 4 years. I think it might be more than 4 years at this point, isn't it? I don't know. To come back for that long, and then, I mean, I don't think he deserves the title fight. I mean, I think it's a good matchup for him, but I'm still going to go with Cejudo because of the being active. Didn't Dominic Cruz say ring rust doesn't exist? I think I
He's the
saw
one
that
that
quote.
said it. Yeah, so that's why, man.
I
I
don't
mean,
believe it.
think about it. He came back and fought TJ Dillashaw. I think it was 3 years, and he, obviously it was a super close fight, but I mean, he took on TJ, who was pretty active during the time. So I'm curious to see. We're so used to seeing Cruz behind the commentary table. I'm so fired up to see him back in the octagon. So obviously, one of 2 title fights. This one, we're all hoping for a great one. So we'll see who wins that. It's going to be an exciting fight. And then we go to the main card, the final discussion of the night. Boys, this one we could talk about for hours. We could talk about for days. We have the interim lightweight title on the line with Tony El Kukui Ferguson taking on Justin Gaethje. Boys, I don't know what more you can ask for in a fight. Obviously, this was supposed to be Tony Khabib. It didn't happen, but the MMA gods kept Tony on the card, and they said, who's someone just as crazy, someone as psychopathic as Tony Ferguson? And they got Justin Gaethje. I mean, this fight has everything everyone wants. It's got violence. It's got, there's going to be blood. Someone might die in this one. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen in this one. But this is just a great fight. It's for the interim title. Khabib is apparently out until September. Winner of this gets Khabib. So says Dana White. We'll see. We know sometimes his word doesn't always come truthful there. But I'm just going to let you guys take this one over. What do you think about this absolute I just love everything about it. Kev, start us off. Tony Gaethje, what do you got?
Yeah, it's an awesome fight. I mean, I am a little bummed that we're not seeing Ferguson Khabib, but this is a good second.
Yeah.
Again, this could go either way. I mean, Gaethje's got some crazy knockout power. The thing with the leg kicks that I was thinking about this earlier. Tony Ferguson kicks metal poles, so I think I think he's gonna be all right with the leg kicks. But they both get good wrestling. I think Ferguson's got the better jiu-jitsu. Ferguson is really unpredictable with his striking. He gets put into a lot of trouble in most of his fights. You see him kind of get wobbled, but he bounces back. So I'm going to go with Ferguson. I think he's going to cut him up and maybe even get a stoppage, halfway through the fight or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to be going at it, and Ferguson's elbows are just going to take a toll after a while. And I think Gaethje's just – not that he's not smart enough to choose a different game plan. He just – I don't know, just rock him, sock him. And I don't think it's going to be a winning game plan for him in that fight.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with the leg kicks. There's a lot of people are like – I see on Twitter and stuff, they're like, Gaethje's leg kicks are going to be the difference maker. Like, Tony Ferguson came off of that ACL surgery after 6 months, and what's the first thing Pettis did in that fight? It was go after that bad leg. And Tony didn't even look fazed by it. If Tony coming off of reconstructive knee surgery was taking leg kicks, Justin Gaethje, trust me, his leg kicks are terrifying, and you could put anyone else. I just look at this matchup, and Tony is literally a zombie. The man, you'll knock him down 4. We saw in the Lando Venata fight. He got knocked down 4 times in 1 round, still comes back and darces the guy. I'm just like convinced that this guy doesn't feel pain. I'm convinced that he'd rather die in there than lose a fight, and then go out or tap or do anything like that. I think Tony's like a different breed of fighter. I think Gaethje's the same way, because Gaethje has the mentality either I'm going to finish you or you're finishing me, but this ain't going to decision. I can promise you that. I just think Tony is overall, he's got the skills to, I think, beat any single fighter in the UFC, in MMA in general. But Kev, I agree with you. I think elbows are going to be a difference maker. I think Gaethje realizing when he hits Tony and Tony gets back up, that's not something he's used to. And I think we're going to see Tony in a shit ton of trouble in the first round. I think Tony's going to get – it's going to be like the Pettis fight. I think he's going to get knocked down a couple times in the first, and then I think he's magically going to arise, and he's going to start just butchering Gaethje with the elbows. I think, we're going to see that vintage shot of just Tony covered in blood laughing in his corner, standing up while Gaethje's on the stool, huffing and puffing rounds 3 and 4. And I think Tony's going to get it done with a Darce. Tony doesn't tend to knock too many people out. I think we're going to see a submission here. But then the biggest question is, how good is Gaethje on the ground? Because we just haven't seen his wrestling. So I think that's the biggest dark horse here. It's, can Gaethje be the one to put Tony's lights out? He's got he had the power to do it to 3 straight guys in the first round. So I know Gaethje's going to be headhunting that first minute. And I can tell you right now, in that first minute, Tony will be on his ass. But I think Tony's going to be doing his rolls. He's going to be doing his spinning shit. I don't know. And I think these guys are going to be bloody. It's going to be a great fight. I think Tony's going to get it done. I think it's going to be very similar to like the Edson Barbosa fight, where Tony's kind of getting pieced up on the feet. Edson gassed in that fight. I think it's going to be same here. Gaethje's just going to gas, and Tony's going to butcher him with the elbows, eventually just submit him, and maybe we'll see a knockout. But I'm going Tony in this one. Zach, what do you got?
Oh, man, dude. I want Gaethje to win so bad.
Really?
Ever since he came to the UFC, I've wanted him to fight for the title.
Yeah.
This is I want him to win so bad, dude. I think I can't pick against Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think that he can take some punishment and come back. And obviously, you guys said Gaethje's got tremendous power. One of the things I was thinking when you said I originally was going to say I was going to pick Tony by Darce choke too, because Gaethje does that thing where he lowers his head and he covers up that way. And dude, that's when I'm just think Tony's going to snap him down and just toss on the Darce. And like when Gaethje gets in those gunfights, that's how he covers up. And I think he definitely is vulnerable to Tony Darce in a way he does that. So that's my prediction. But man, I want Gaethje to win so bad.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't want either guy to lose because I love Gaethje too. And it sucks that this matchup had to happen now because it's just I love both of these guys, right? And I would like to have seen this fight after the Khabib fight with Tony. But, I mean, this is the next best fight that you can make in the UFC right now.
I think Tony's the real 155 champ. I think that I think he would beat Khabib too. I don't know if I was on, we talked about that, but I would pick him too for that. So
yeah,
it sucks that we're not getting it, but man,
I mean, think about it right now.
Fighters,
If Tony wins this, he is now a 2-time interim lightweight champion. That's never been done before. Interim champion twice. It obviously sets up the big fight with Khabib, but you start to question yourself and be like, is this fight ever going to happen? Come September, what's going to happen? Something else is going to happen. This fight got stopped because of a virus. Think about all the things you could have picked for this fight to happen. Injuries, other things like that. Tony falling over a cable. But the coronavirus, a global pandemic, stopped this fight from happening, and Tony Ferguson is still fighting. That's just, people can say whatever they want about Khabib. People think he might have pulled out for a reason, and that it was an excuse he went back to Dagestan. Obviously, Khabib is undefeated. He hasn't been in trouble in any of his fights. Literally, the Dustin Poirier guillotine might have been the closest we ever seen, and even Dustin was like, I held that with everything I had, and I still couldn't put him away. So I just think with Tony and him making weight last week like an absolute psychopath of a human, who knows? That could take a toll on his body come this Friday. And we don't know. He could have drained himself last week. But I think that was a message to Khabib last week being like, I'm still here. You should be on the scale next to me. We should be fighting right now. And I think that, honestly, I think that's in Gaethje's head right now, being like, this motherfucker made weight last week. He's going to make weight this week, and we're going to have to fight. And I'm coming off the couch. Even Gaethje said it. He's like, I got the call, and I was coming off the couch. I was eating whatever I want, but I'm not going to turn up this opportunity. So I think this is just going to be, I think, one of the most exciting fights ever. I think we're going to see guys getting dropped multiple times. We're going to be seeing blood everywhere. We're going to be seeing Tony just sitting in the corner laughing like he friggin' always does. The no fans thing is going to be crazy because we're going to get to hear Tony Ferguson say, this is my mat, and we're going to hear Justin Gaethje finally do some trash talking of his own. But I think, obviously, this sets up a fight with Khabib. And Zach, I agree with you. I personally think Tony's the champ. I know Khabib did beat Conor, for the real belt, you can say, afterwards, when Conor was stripped and all that stuff, and he beat him. I just think you look at Tony's path, you look at what he's done, it's all finishes. It's just ridiculous. We'll never see anything like this again. And this fight's just going to be incredible. That's it. Any final thoughts? UFC 249, anything? Because this is to happen. I'm just praying. I know I texted Kev the other day. I sent him the promo, and he still texted me back saying, I'm praying, because that's how uncertain we are that this even might still happen. So,
dude, I had to laugh. I saw a meme, and it was, if they try and rebook Khabib Tony, it's going to be like the apocalypse is going to happen.
It's like, at this point, I don't even believe it's going to happen. I really don't, because you can't make a fight 6 times. Like this, they're going to have to, like, I don't even know if it's Fight Island, if it's in Dagestan, wherever the hell this fight's going to be eventually, if Tony gets past Gaethje. We're going to see. But I until those two are in a cage together, I will never believe that the fight's happening, ever. Yeah. So, UFC 249, it's been a long time, boys. I think it's been 4 or 5 weeks since we've had fights. If Dana White pulls this off and does, like he said, we have the card May 9th, and then we have the Wednesday card May 13th, and then we have that Saturday card. 3 fights in 8 days will be ridiculous, and I'm so excited. Excited for UFC 249 pay-per-view. For those of you who don't buy the pay-per-view, that's okay, because the prelims and early prelims are stacked. But buy the pay-per-view, because you don't want to miss Tony Gaethje. You don't want to miss Stevens Cater. And trust me, you don't want to miss Ngannou Rosenstrike. So that's it. We are the time's counting down. The days are counting down. We're only a few more sleeps away from UFC 249. As John Anik says, a few more sleeps. So, boys, until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.